forgot how I can park this thing in here. It's kind of, oh yeah, that. I built this to kind of allow me to set, like I have a vehicle like this, and then I have a hover vehicle just like it, same design. And then I built this outpost around those designs so I can just randomly park them in a corner, and me trying to talk and steer at the same time is obviously not working. But the idea being that I can set up an outpost on various planets without having to put a whole lot of resources into a full base. And this one's designed to hang from ceilings in case I need room underneath it for any reason. All right. Your F key departs just like it sat you down. Don't need it. Yeah, I was shutting down the boat. So this is an outpost. While it has pretty much everything you need to kind of get by, it's not exactly comfortable. Also, you'll notice you're baking in your own juices standing next to the generator. Be careful. Keep spare oxygen in these things. I'll show you how to set up an oxygen generator. Oxygen, hydrogen, and water, purified water generators, or water generators and all that kind of thing. We'll need all that set up again. This is the core. If you look in this room here, every base, every ship has one. As soon as you walk in and hit up, or look up rather. So every base, every ship, small, big, medium, whatever, has one of those somewhere on the boat or on the base. Vehicles and bases are classified as 4 categories: BA, CV, SV, and HV. So BA are bases, they are fixed. You can't put thrusters, but they do have the largest and longest range weaponry. CVs are capital vessels. They use large blocks like bases, and they cannot fit some of the same weaponry, and they have their own subset of weaponry, I should say. But they are, you can add thrusters and fly around from planet to planet, including a warp drive, which will get you to planet to planet. SVs are small vessels. Also, now as of version 7X, have their short range warp. So you can make a small hop, but you can't get to every planet in the solar system because the engine's not powerful enough to do that. The tank's not big enough. HVs are hover vessels, and they are atmospheric or planetary only, whether you have an atmosphere. Sorry. It was atmospheric only. Now you can have them on moons, or it doesn't matter where you are. But I'll spawn in a CV right quick, or HV rather, right quick. Sometimes the hangars don't close when you park. I don't get why it does that, but anyway, so you'll notice the red thing, the orange thing, green, black, white, various constructors. These should all be advanced constructors. Up top, you see I put boxes with LCDs that let you know what should go in the box. As you find a resource deposit on the planet, you collect the said deposit uh, in. I'll spawn you a little hover vessel here right quick. You can carry it around. So this has a little bit of cargo space in it, and on the sides, cargo boxes hanging there. You'll not want to get in a tangle with any bad guys because, like bases and such, but because you're outgunned and that. But the gun that's on here now will work just fine for taking out things like raptors and such as that. The cool thing about hover vessels is even if you're not seated in the vehicle, the turrets uh, will auto fire using AI bot tracking and all that. It'll auto attack things near that you've set for targeting. So you can set, yeah, fixed emplacements do not auto fire. That is for the pilot. Turrets will auto fire at anything you have the targeting system set for. Like I said, there's cargo boxes on here. So ideally, what you do is you hop into the cockpit here, go out to somewhere for mining, and leave it parked nearby. Let's see, 15 more minutes. Okay. All right, it's gassed up and O2'd up and everything. You don't have to have a seat. This is officially yours. You can have it. The Y button uh, turns it on and off. If you hit the P button or P key, whatever vehicle you're in, it'll bring up the control panel for that thing. So, like right now, you're standing on the plates of the base. So, if you hit P, you'll be talking to the base panel. If you point your mouse and you get a little yellow cursor with the box, that lets you know that the thing you're pointing at will be now what your P key will open up. You can also confirm the thing that you're interacting with by the name of the object, which is in the upper left-hand corner. Like the base will say non-outpost, no tower, and the little orange vehicle here will say please no kill 2. It's the second generation of the please no kills. Fuel is finite, so when you're not using a vessel, you just kill the engines by hitting the Y key and parking it. But if you go out to a resource, which if you hit your M key, M as in Mike, you'll notice that I've planted you just north and just south of 2 iron deposits. And a little bit further south is a Promethium deposit. And then just south of that is a waterfront. These are all your chief starting resource points you're going to want to work from. We could nickname the game "Give Me All the Iron." You just turn the power off at the base. FYI, be careful about that. All right, spacebar undocks. Also raises space and C raise and lower your hover height. You can go down until you latch onto something, or if you're outside, you'll go all the way down to 0.5 meters. That is, you can't really go anywhere. Uh, it goes all the way up to 3 meters of ride height. That's pretty optimum for rough terrain. Generally speaking, I just plop it up to 3 meters and just cruise wherever I'm going unless I'm trying to squeeze in and out of this cargo bay on the base. Then you have to kind of shrink it down to about 1.5 to 1.2 meter height, ride height. That's the space bar and C button. Those raise and lower your heights. It's also how you move up and down. It's also how you swim up and down if you happen to be in water. The gun is armed. You do have ammunition. You don't have to do anything except leave the vehicle running when you get to an iron deposit and start mining. Just leave the vessel running. You've got probably about 15 or 16 hours of fuel on the thing. At some point, I'll have tons and tons of fusion cells, which is the big Mac Daddy Promethium plus hydrogen cells, plus hydrogen tanks rather, produces fusion cells, and that's the most fuel per unit, most what do you call it? Economic. It's the most fuel per unit consumed in a tank. Sorry, I'm not thinking too clear. I've got a pretty bad cold right now. So each of these constructors represents the way I had it set up is like these on the multicolored one is to just do refinery. So if you want to make ingots out of iron, which most everything requires iron ingots rather than just raw iron, then you put iron in this constructor and start chugging away at iron ingots, and if you get 5,000 raw iron out of the ground, go ahead and run them all through there because there's no call for raw iron. Everything uses the ingot version of ore. So like silicon, cobalt, look up top, you see the various types of ore. I labeled all these boxes, although most of them you won't find on this planet. If you hit your M as in Mike, you'll see what planets are possible or what resources are possible on this planet under the resources tab. You see iron, copper, silicon, and promethium. That's it. In order to get other stuff, we have to go to other moons and planets and such. Now, it doesn't tell you, but there are also blue crystals, but they're in the water and they're kind of scarce or sparsely laid out, if you will. Pretty hard to collect very many of them. That is pentaxid crystals, and those are the things you need for warp fuel. Don't worry about collecting them. We will get those on the moon where we can get a whole lot more all in a short little patch. We'll just have to fight a base and kill a bunch of aliens and blow up the base before we can get to it in some places. So in your inventory, which reminds me, double check, make sure you're not starving to death. Be sure to eat every so often. Oh, and I need to go replant. Follow me to this back room over here between the white and black constructors. Right now, there's nothing planted. I'm going to fix that here in a few seconds. But right as you walk in, you've got these scanners. You've got a scanner 3, a scanner 2, a scanner 1, and then up on the wall, up above the door, is a scanner 4. Mouse over them, they tell you what they fix. If you don't have medicines to fix those things, then you have to come back to the outpost to get them solved. For example, if you fight a plant critter thing, it bites you, it might poison you. One of these scanners will relieve you of that poison. And don't play around because poison will deplete your stamina and eventually your health. And no matter how much you eat, you will not survive it. But each of these 9 plots, there's a total of 4 groups of 9 plots. That's the maximal recipe for making veggie soup. And veggie soup is the best bang for the buck, easy to make kind of recipe. I'm going to put the plants out here just a second. Hang on. Back here against the wall by the door is a food processor where you can make all the things. Also, here's the fridge. Everything that has a perish time requires refrigeration. To see if it has perish time, just mouse over the object in your inventory, which is the tab key if you haven't figured that out yet. But if you have like veggie soup, you'll notice it has a perish time. In games like Ark, Survival Evolved, perish time represents a countdown for the top object. So if you have a stack of 20 meats, then after the timer, one meat goes bad and then 19 remains in the stack until all 19 deplete. This game doesn't do it that way. That perish timer is for the whole stack. It's a little cheesy, honestly. But if you have a stack of 20 veggie soups and they're going to perish in 5 minutes, you're going to lose all 20 soups in 5 minutes. That's why I was saying earlier, don't over collect. You don't need a pocket full of stuff to eat. It won't do you much good, even if you did. Um, so I need to plant these gardens again. Hang on, I'll do that. You'll see the little pink lights that are just overhead of the garden. Those are the grow lights. If those aren't on, the crops aren't growing. Further, if the base loses oxygen, the plants not only stop growing, they stop living. All right, that'll take a little while, but those I just seeded those beds. They'll grow and turn into full thing fruit, pumpkin, durian, and tomatoes are the three vegetable group objects for the veggie soup. You need steel plates also. I'll throw some in the non-perishable materials box here. And the first round will be on the food processor. I'll put a stack of steel plates there. So the food processor and then the non-perishable materials cargo box will be the spillover from the food processor. Try not to keep too many stacks of stuff in the food processor just because it gets crowded and you lose track of stuff. As far as I can tell, if you generate perishables, like for example, the byproduct of those veggies and steel plates is veggie soup. If you burn a bunch of materials to make veggie soup on the food processor, but they're still in the output hopper, I don't think it starts the perish timer, if I remember, unless they fix that. You can just leave it running and not worry about them going bad. But once you pull them off, though, you'll plop them in the fridge overhead to your right here, and you'll just carry 3 to 5 cans with you at a time. Uh, one can will probably give you a good half hour or more of game time play. If you're going to carry more than that, you risk getting killed and losing it, or worse, or just as bad as the food perish timer expiring and all that kind of thing. So you'll pull a few out, carry around with you when you're out exploring and such. Um, so in the food processor also is the ability to make various kits and ointments and pills and shots and things like that to solve the things that these scanners solve for you. so that you can carry those med supplies with you in your pocket and solve them out in the field. You don't have to come back to base if you generate the med supplies for your pocket. Yeah, yeah. If you keep an eye on that parish timer, make sure that if it's running low or close to parish, just go ahead and eat it, even if it only gives you the tiniest of food returned. Better than going spoiled, unless you're trying to generate biofuel. So you need spoiled foods for biofuel, unfortunately. Oh, and I need to. Ugh, I need to rearm this thing too. This base, I mean. All right, the base is now oxygenated. No, we're doing the attacking. I just added ammo to the weaponry. It seems we won. You got your drill, T2 drill I gave you, and you got a blue 50 stack of drill charges. Yeah, you take the hover vessel out with you so that if you encounter any face chewing critters, it'll take care of it for you. Yeah, it'll get you there quicker. Can't tell what they're shooting at. Only with rifles. that welcome to everyday life in Empyrium.